Okay. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's workshop. My name is Becky, and we're going to be talking all about the new AI ranking formula. We'll walk through exactly what's working right now to come up across Google and AI search engines like ChatGPT so that your business is one of the first companies that homeowners discover when they start looking for lawn and landscaping services. Scott is going to walk you through the workshop.
Thanks, Becky. Hey, everyone. It's great to see you. As you're all seeing in the lawn and landscape space, the way your customers look for you is changing. Some new patterns are starting to emerge. And I think it's really important that as long as a lawn and landscape companies making a large investment in marketing, whether that's SEO, paid search, or other advertising strategies, you're really showing up where your customers are looking. While everyone is still getting logged in, if you could just let me know in the chat, and this is going to be interactive. If you think about where most of your leads come from in your company today, drop that into the chat. Is it from organic? Is it from SEO? Is it from local service ads? Is it from Google ads, referrals, something else? Just let me know in the chat. Go ahead and type that in. That way we can get a little bit of a dialogue going where most of your lead flow is coming from today. I'm going to share my screen while you guys share that. I'm going to dive right in here today. I want to let you guys know we did put together a great workbook for this. I'm going to talk big picture and I'm going to show examples and case studies, but sometimes you want to get the details, you want the checklist, you want all the other stuff. So we did put that together for you. If you want to download that, you can go to wslandscapemarketing.com/SEO workbook. Mark or Becky on my team, if you guys could please drop that into the chat for everybody here live, that would be super helpful. So as we think about AI and really search engine optimization as it relates to AI rankings and AI results, this fits into the bigger picture of growing your lawn or landscape company. And we have here what we call our growth engine, which outlines the key things you need to put in place and track to generate accelerated growth in your company. So in order to have that accelerated growth, number one, we need to drive leads, right? We need to have a strategy to get the phone ringing, to get the online bookings, to get the online chats. Then we have to maximize conversions to convert those interested prospects into inquiries, those inquiries into booked jobs, and then those booked jobs into repeat customers who refer us to others. Then we've got to optimize the results. We need to figure out where are we spending our money, where are we spending our effort, and where are we spending our attention, what's actually generating the results, and we've got to focus on that return on investment. Really, this piece of driving leads, the number one pillar, the number one part of the strategy is organic. So we've got organic, paid, database marketing. Today, we're going to focus on the organic side of that equation. How do we get the people that are looking for us without having to pay on a per click basis or on a per lead basis? Again, it's just one piece of the overall strategy we need to think about in order to maximize your lead flow and maximize your results online. A couple of housekeeping things: close out your other distractions, close out your other tabs. Let's give this your undivided attention. This is going to be the latest and greatest on what's going on with how to rank in AI, how to come up in AI results. I've personally invested a lot of time and energy sitting in seminars, sitting in webinars, researching across our network of lawn and landscape companies to figure out the latest trends, what's actually working in today's market. So let's give this our undivided attention, and then you can have that competitive advantage of that information. So here's what we're going to cover today. The key things I want to make sure we unpack in today's session: the latest changes in Google's algorithm, because really I think Google is still where it's at, how AI generative engines and GEO are shaking up the marketplace, and how we're seeing some of Google's market share, especially for these services, shifting to other platforms we need to be aware of. And then the things we might have put in place in the past, they're actually hurting your ability to rank on Google, as well as get recommended in AI search. And then finally, how to optimize using the no GEO or AI ranking formula. So real quick, before we really get into the meat of this thing, for anyone who hasn't met me yet, I'm Scott Coullard with webSURGE Landscape Marketing. Our agency's been around for over 2 decades now, but before I ever touched digital marketing, I was actually out on a lawn care crew for about 6 years, mowing, trimming, grinding through summers like many of you have. Our company started off as a general marketing agency. That means we used to work with everyone from dentists to manufacturers to industrial companies. But as time went on, we noticed something. The systems we were building were driving incredible results for lawn and landscape companies. That's when we made the decision to go all in on this industry, the green industry. Since then, we've worked with landscape companies across the country, and we've seen what actually works to generate quality leads and steady growth. Not in theory, not something I read in a blog post somewhere. Everything we're going to share with you today comes straight from that experience, what we tried, what we refined, and what consistently delivers those results. As we go, I'm going to share some real examples so you guys can see exactly how these strategies play out in the field and how you can apply them in your own company. And this is what we do day in and day out as an organization, setting up the websites, doing SEO, creating the content, driving paid search strategies, tracking that return on investment, really driving the results. So if at any point you're thinking, you know what, Scott, this has been some great information, but I'd love for you to take a look at what we're doing today or show how you might be able to help us implement these strategies to get better results or help us show up in AI, we'd love the opportunity to chat with you guys. That's just a complimentary evaluation. We'll show you what's working well, where there's room for improvement. If you ever want to schedule that, just go to wslandscapemarketing.com/schedule. Mark or Becky, if you could drop that link in the chat too, and you guys can always scan that QR code quick too. So without further ado, let's get into this new AI ranking formula. So when somebody needed a lawn or landscape service contractor, they were going to Google. They would type in lawn care near me or landscaping in city. This is what comes up on Google today. So we have local service ads along the top, the Google map listings beneath that, and then the organic listings, directories, company websites that rank, those sorts of things. That used to be all we had to think about. For the last 10 to 15 years, that was the playbook. Sure, there was Bing at some level. There was a few directories to pay attention to, but predominantly it was Google. That's where people looked. The 80-20 principle told us focus on Google and everything else will fall into place. But in today's market, more and more people are using generative search tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and so on. They're actually using these tools to search. For example, someone might take out their phone and say, hey, ChatGPT, I need a landscaper in the East Syracuse area. Who would you recommend? Then they hit send and ChatGPT serves them up some results. So when we look at our clients and who's ranking, as an example, if we search East Syracuse landscaper, the client we work with in that market is Hunter Springs. You can see they come up in local service ads, the map listing. They're also coming up in ChatGPT as a recommended company. So now we have to ask, how do we rank in that? And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. There are really specific things that increase your chances of showing up in ChatGPT and other AI engines, specific citation sources, schema markup on your website, how your website answers common questions. These things all contribute to a higher probability of ranking in those AI generated results. We're already seeing clients, and you might not think this is happening, but actually getting clicks, calls, and leads from people searching on ChatGPT right now. And I truly believe that trend is only going to increase. More and more people will ask their AI engine of choice, look for an answer, and bypass Google and the traditional platforms entirely. I'd say even more common than ChatGPT search, though, is what we call zero-click search, which is often referred to as Google AI overviews. This is when you search on Google, and instead of serving up a website, Google actually summarizes the answer and gives it to you directly right there in a zero-click search result. So as an example of this, I live in Rochester, New York. I'm here in Rochester today. If I go to Google and ask, what's the typical weather in Rochester in November, like I'm planning to plant some things or do some yard work. In the past, I would have clicked the weather channel, gone to their site, gotten the information I needed, and they wouldn't have been able to pixel me and capture that traffic. But in today's market, Google, through its AI overviews, is literally summarizing what it found on those sites and displaying that answer right at the top. That's called an AI overview. And that impacts the search volume. It impacts the traffic going to clients' websites. So how does that apply to you as a lawn and landscape company? In the case of the Weather Channel, this resulted in a reduction of website traffic for them. So over the last 12 months, as we can see from public sources here, their traffic has gone down significantly since those AI overviews went into play. So how does this apply to you as a lawn and landscape company? More specifically, your customers are typing in very specific project-based questions like, how much does it cost to install a paver patio? What's the best grass type for shady areas? When's the right time to aerate my lawn? In the past, by having great content on your website and ranking for those kinds of queries, you got the traffic, you had the ability to pixel them, which just means to follow them around with ads. You could retarget them. Ideally, you got the opportunity to generate that lead and receive the call. But now Google is doing the same thing with AI overviews. If someone searches for this example right here, what are the best perennials to plant in my area? They might see something like, here are some native and deer resistant options. And then the rest of the information is right there in the overview. So we're starting to see this more with long tail terms, which just means when somebody types in a longer search. This isn't really happening with the more short searches like lawn care near me, landscape design company in city, but it is happening with the more informational research based searches people are performing. And we want to be part of that conversation in those results. We're talking about what does it take to show up in AI overviews? How do we capitalize on that opportunity, even if they don't click through to our website? And there are specific things we can do in those cases. So what we're going to talk about is how to get your website listed in Google overviews and ChatGPT answers. That's really what AI SEO is as I see it. We'll talk about how to build your brand and authority for AI powered results, some basics, some fundamentals, some advanced strategies, a few really cool things we're seeing as we nerd out on the topic. Then we'll unpack the new AI ranking formula for lawn and landscape services, the very specific tactical things we can do on the website, off the website, to improve the probability of showing up in these types of results. So I want to preface this though by saying, because there's a lot of hype about AI right now, I think there's opportunity with AI. There's an opportunity to come up in AI recommended results, but I also don't want you to freak out. I don't want you thinking, hey, all my SEO work has been a waste of time. I don't know what this means for us. Here's the reality. Google and YouTube combined generate 13.7 billion views on Google, 6 billion searches per day on YouTube. That's the Google ecosystem. It's what we've all built our digital presence on. ChatGPT, on the other hand, has about 1.1 billion searches per day. That's only about 5% of the Google search volume combined. But even more important than the numbers is the intent, meaning most people searching on Google are they're looking for something, searching for a solution, ready to find a provider. There's more commercial intent behind that. Most ChatGPT searches aren't that. They're asking questions, doing research, looking for general information. So I'd even say realistically, it's probably closer to 1% of Google's actual commercial search volume ChatGPT has. So all I'm trying to say is don't sleep on Google. Don't feel like this Google stuff is no longer important because it definitely is. And if you want to look at this in granular detail, there's Google with 96 billion visits, YouTube with 42 billion visits. After that, you've got Facebook and Instagram. And then down in the middle at 4 million, you've got the Chat GPT. So again, just by contrast, I don't want you to freak out. And additionally, too, while AI platforms like ChatGPT are small compared to Google, Google is actually actively weaving AI into their search experience. So, one example here in some industries in select markets, they've started testing this new feature in the Google Map Pack called Have AI Get Prices. And this is so new that I actually just added the slide for this morning. And so here's a Google search result for a plumbing company I pulled up because I wanted to find a quick example for you guys in an industry and a market I know they're testing this in. When you click that little button, have AI get prices, Google literally says, we use AI to call various service providers near you, check prices and availability, and send you the responses. Give me a one in the chat if this is your first time seeing this because it's pretty new. This shows Google is experimenting with AI as the interface, but it's still pulling from their core systems, the map pack, local listings, your phone number, your website info. So your SEO, your search engine optimization, especially your Google business profile, still plays a direct role on how visible you are, even when AI is in the mix. I want to check again with you guys. And frankly, I'm just curious what cities they're releasing this in. Have any of you guys seen this pop up in your market yet? Just give me a yes in the chat if you've seen this feature in your city yet. All right, Carrie says, have not seen. Megan has seen it. Okay. Anita gave me a one. Perfect. Google likes to test things half baked a little bit. So we're going to see this kind of roll out. It might become major over the course of time, or they might snuff it out if it doesn't end up working for them. But just a quick tactical tip on this for you guys. I know discussing pricing up front can be a sensitive topic, but this is the direction Google is considering directly. So your team needs to have a process to actually nurture and work the leads who ask about the pricing up front. And I understand some of you guys can get very custom with what you do, but you still need to have a process to work the lead, have an answer in case an AI from Google is calling you. This is going to give you the tools to respond to that AI call from Google and have a shot at closing that business. So we looked at the numbers, the massive number of searches still on Google, the way they're innovating their own platform with AI tools like that AI price checker. SEO is not dead, right? It's not, okay, throw out the baby with the bathwater. I'm all in on ChatGPT and Claude and all these other platforms. And I also don't want you to sleep on the other platforms. So again, if we go to Google right now and type in something like your city plus lawn care services or landscape design in your city, which is how most people are searching, we still see the same structure, local service ads at the very top, Google map listings below that, and then the organic results underneath. The latest data still tells us that 80 to 90% of the clicks go to the organic listings. They're going to the map or they're going to those little blue organic listings. 60 to 70%, if you drill down a little further, is actually going right into the map, which just shows how critical that map is. Tactically speaking, there are very specific things we want to do on our websites to make sure we come up in the search results. So I've got an example here, Hunter Springs Landscape Artisans. This is that company we work with in East Syracuse, New York. If we run the search East Syracuse Landscaper, you can see they show up in the map pack. They come up organically. And if we ask ChatGPT, who are some of the best landscapers in East Syracuse, New York, they show up very high in the results. Now, what ChatGPT responds with is going to vary. It depends on your past preferences. It depends on your location. Sometimes they'll just give you a little quick snippet of a list. Sometimes they'll give you a nice map result like this here. I can't say definitively this is always a result, but I can say in searches we run from multiple IPs, different computers, the company consistently performs well in these types of searches. But what I really want to focus on is the data behind that. What does the ranking really mean? So this is their third month of working with us. $4,500 in online marketing in this third month, 175 leads. That spend includes their investment with us and their paid Google ad spend. And we're really granularly tracking what does that investment produce in terms of leads. So the results, again, 175 leads this month, which breaks down to about $25.86 per lead. But here's the key part. Where are those leads coming from? So there's 53 from pay-per-click advertising. That's Google Ads, that's Microsoft Ads, etc. 97 from Google Maps, 25 from organic search. So combined, that's nearly 70% still coming from that organic search, or in another way to say it is from the SEO, primarily from Google. There's a little bit of Bing in there, a little bit of ChatGPT, but really it's mainly still Google. Yeah, SEO still matters. Yes, we still need to be setting up the website. We still need to be building the authority. We need to be doing the work to come up in those organic results. You don't want to be reliant just on a page search strategy. And there's an evolution of terminology here. So we hear the term AEO, and then you might hear the term GEO, and then it's always been referred to as SEO. And so I just want to break this down for you guys so it's a little easier to understand, make sure we're all on the same page. What do those things really mean? What are we referring to? So when we think about answer engines, those are the tools you ask or speak to with your voice, like Siri or Alexa. Those are your traditional answer engines. Then you've got GEO, generative engine optimization. That refers to the large language models that serves the results. That's the ChatGPT, the Gemini, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot. And then more of these tools are emerging all the time. Of course, ChatGPT is leading the way right now, and that's the one everyone talks about and knows about. At the end of the day, when it comes to your marketing, we just want to make sure we're coming out where our customers are looking. So I'm going to call it search everywhere optimization. Let's make sure we show up in Google, show up in ChatGPT, show up in Claude, anywhere your customers are searching. We want to be the predominant answer, the one that has earned the right to show up, to get their attention, to solve their problem, and become their vendor of choice. So I'd love to ask you guys, again, for that interactive piece, how do you come up? This would be a great time to run a quick check. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes here. So please feel free to pull up a separate browser, pull up Google, type in your city plus your main service, switch to a different tab, open ChatGPT, just chatgpt.com, ask ChatGPT who you recommend for your service in your market. Try one more platform. If you just look up Google Gemini from a Google search, you can find that one if you want to use that. Just take a quick second, run a couple of those searches on your end, and then let us all know in the chat, are you ranking, not ranking? How does it look? I'm going to give a couple awkward 2-minute pause here just so you guys can really actually do this. And while you guys run those searches independently, you'll get very similar results, whether you do this on a phone or desktop too, by the way, so it doesn't really matter. And then in the chat, give yourself like a 1 if you don't come up for anything, and then maybe a 10 if you come up for every term you searched. Let me know in the chat. Again, I thought it'd be nice to do a little bit of self-reflection on that process. Definitely interested to hear how you guys are doing. All right. You guys, please feel free to keep doing that. Pop in the chat once you're finished. I'm going to keep us going along here. So what's cool is if you run the same process across a variety of different terms, different searches, specifically something like landscaper in East Syracuse, New York, you'll start to get a sense of how you're performing across the different platforms. Ideally, we want to know how we're doing on Google, ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, Perplexity. Ideally, we're coming up in the first couple of results on all of them. You can see here, I highlighted Hunter Springs across the board in terms of where they're ranking. And now I gave you guys like 2 minutes to try it. But as you saw, it's tricky to open up all those tabs. There's some work involved with it. It takes time to think through what search terms to test, which services you should type in, pull up all those tabs, run the searches, and then get a real sense of where you're showing up and where you're not. I would love to do this for you guys complimentary. So we've actually been testing some new AI scanning tools that'll actually go out and run 200 prompts for you. And our team has been working hard on this behind the scenes so we can run a full analysis for you. If you're interested, completely free of charge, just go to wslandscapemarketing.com/schedule or scan that QR code there. Give us a few details, your website, your phone number, your service area. We'll run that analysis and then meet live with you to show where you're showing up in the AI engines, why you're showing up or not, and then any specific things you can do to improve that. Again, if you'd like us to shortcut that, give you the full assessment, just go to wslandscapemarketing.com/schedule. Mark or Becky, if you could pop that in the chat, that'd be great too. All right, so let's get into the strategy. We've seen Hunter Springs. What's the secret formula for getting ranked? Let me lead off by saying, specifically when it comes to AI, there's no magic answer. Nobody knows for sure. Anyone claiming they've got the presto bango button to make sure you come up on ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity, or they're just making it up. This is all brand new. We're all just testing. We're all trying to figure out what's working. But here's what we're seeing across the board from our own clients, the research we've done, and then dozens of other agencies that we actually collaborate with and mastermind with. AI is not smart in the way that people think it is. And when you understand it, you realize that it's actually very dumb. It's just actually going out and piecing together stuff that it finds online. It's mostly just regurgitating content from the internet. It summarizes what it finds in search results, especially what's already ranking high on Google and Bing. So for example, how this actually works in the real world, if you ask ChatGPT a question, it'll just go out and it actually uses Bing, which is Microsoft's version of Google, and ChatGPT takes the Bing results, it runs a Bing search, and it secretly injects those results into the bottom of the question that you did. So you asked your question, it puts the results of Bing underneath that, but you don't see them. And then it'll actually refer back to those search results as the basis for the answer that it spits out to you. So if you want to show up in AI generated answers, you need to show up in those search results first. So in other words, you need to do really good SEO, really good search engine optimization. That's what we're going to talk about today, the SEO that is going to get you listed in ChatGPT and the AI results. And so the number one thing, first and foremost, is you need to answer questions. So this is the secret sauce. Your prospects, your customers, they're going to the answer engines and are asking questions. It's called answer engine for a reason. They want information, they want answers. So what do you need to do? You need to answer the questions. Whatever those questions are, you want to incorporate them into your website with proper schema, with proper formatting, so the engines can actually find the answers. A lot of these tools are pulling from Bing, crawling Google, and then displaying that information directly. So again, answer the questions. A great place to figure out what your customers are asking, especially if you've ever thought, we do a lot of different services. I'm not really sure what they would type in. You can go to this website here, answerthepublic.com. You can plug in almost any term and it'll actually give you tons of variations of real questions people are asking. You can do this for all of your services. So you can type in landscaping services. It'll show 16 or more FAQs, Type in lawn care, it'll give you 16 or more questions. Type in retaining wall installation, same thing. You can drill down even deeper. So the companies that wind up ranking best in search, the ones getting the most traffic, and the ones now coming up in the answer engines are the ones who are most diligently answering these questions. And they're doing it in a few different formats. So the easiest and most obvious format is text, right? We answer the question in text, put it into an FAQ section on the website, publish it right there on the relevant page. But we don't want to stop at text. You can answer the question in image or video too. So let me show you how we do this with Hunter Springs. You've already seen how well they're ranking. They're getting a lot of leads and sales from the internet. And here's how we structure their site. We have a page for each service they offer. We have a page for each city they operate in, really granularly too. Let's look at their landscape design page as an example here. So on that page, we include keywords and title tag, imagery of their design renderings, great unique content about the service, including details about their specific process for that service. Of course, visuals of the work being performed. And then that robust, no fluff content on the page is the real key here. That should include details around your services rather than just blanket benefits about the service. If someone has made it to this page, they don't need to be sold on the benefits of the service. They need to be sold on you as a company. So use these pages to answer actual questions customer have about your services, like whether you hand pull weeds or if you spray, which products you use. On the hardscaping side, do you use kits or do you do everything custom? These pages are also a great opportunity to speak to the locality of your business. So for example, you might steer people away from sinks with your outdoor kitchen installs because you're in the north and it's too much of a hassle to winterize that. So you can also feature that FAQ section on the page, and that section addresses the most common questions. And when you format that FAQ section properly, you actually use something called schema markup. So that's a little bit of code you add to the website, and that's how we pass strong data and signals back to Google Search Overview, ChatGPT, the other AI engines. And a lot of companies do include FAQ on their pages, but they just put the text of the question. They don't actually set up that schema code. And if you're curious about whether your schema is working, you can use this tool here, Schema Markup Validator at validator.schema.org. There you can check, is Google recognizing this page? Does it know your service area? Does it know the services you provide? Can it see the answers to key questions? If that doesn't spit out a lot of detail about what you do, then you know the schema isn't set up. This is what allows your content to be properly categorized. I'm not going to get too technical in the weeds here, but that's the key. Answer the questions in multiple formats. Again, step one of the AI ranking formula is answer the questions. Number two is build your authority. So we want to make sure your lawn or landscape company is seen as the authority in your market, in your service area. Both Google and AI are like popularity contests. They look to see how many other trustworthy online entities or websites refer back to your business. As we answer questions and publish content on the website, we want to make sure we're not just blogging in a vacuum. And ideally, we're creating content we can also distribute online to online news sites and PR outlets. So it passes more authority back to our website and more authority back to that specific piece of content. So looking at Hunter Springs again, if we look at the resources section of their website, there's articles like choosing the best plants for your Syracuse and Central New York garden, how to choose the best patio design for your home. They're answering real questions, but they're not just blogging about it. They're posting it in a way that gets linked to by other websites that carry weight and authority. And we help them source those website links too. That passes meaningful authority back to the site. We can also do this with videos and press releases, anything that builds relevance and trust in the eyes of AI engines and Google. Now, this is something pretty interesting. Some of the most cutting edge research on AI results is coming from a site called Profound. Profound has run millions of test searches on these engines to analyze why a certain answer showed up, why a company was recommended, and where the underlying source came from. And what they found is these AI engines are heavily referencing public user-generated content websites. That's a mouthful, but I'll get into what those are. So what does it mean? Reddit is number one most frequently cited. So on the Reddit website, people ask questions, people answer them. The AI uses that as an opportunity to pull from those conversations to feed its data. There's no reason you or a team member or your marketing agency shouldn't be answering the questions on Reddit on your behalf. That helps build authority for your brand and your business entity. Other platforms also referenced include Quora, Tumblr, LinkedIn. So we want to make sure you're entering that conversation and building both the authority of your organization and the authority of the owner of your organization. All of that helps pass trust and authority back to your brand and these AI-driven results. Number three is we've got to optimize our website, right? What we do on the website, how we structure the content makes a really big difference. And so the new search everywhere optimization formula is pretty simple. As you figure out what the most important keywords or searches people use to find your services, based on your service area, based on the search volume, you can use tools like Google Keyword Tool, WordStream, SpyFu, Google Ads to figure out what the keywords are. Again, if you schedule a time with us, we've got the data. Like we look at this day in and day out. We can really contextualize based on your market and tell you what those most important keywords are. Then you want a great website with unique pages targeting each of those searches that people will perform and where there's keyword permutations so that we can come up. And really, we do that by having a page for each of your services, a page for each of the cities you operate in. So, not just your main city, but all of the surrounding cities and towns as well. And then answer common questions using text, using image, using video, and proper schema. And I know video, I get some pushback on because it feels like a lot of work. You've compensated employees in the field, though. They're doing this work every single day. We just need to put a process in place where that employee starts to document what's happening in the field. And I don't think it's all of your employees, right? If you've got 5, 10 employees, don't think all 5 of them are going to do it for you ever. But if we put a super employee in play, look, Johnny is really confident. He likes to do videos. He's a bit of a social media buff. We're going to make him our super employee. He's going to get paid a little extra every time he shoots a video in the field and just talk about the job, talk about the problem that was there that you guys solved, talk about why the customer chose you versus the competition, get that loaded onto the website with the proper schema, with a transcript of what was happening, turn that into an actual rich piece of content. That's going to separate you by miles from the competition, especially in this world of AI where people are writing websites with AI. Then we have to optimize the website for user experience, not just for the keywords, those searches, and for the data, but what's the experience when somebody gets there? Are they clicking around the website? Are they submitting something? Are they staying on the website? Or are they immediately bouncing back? And so the things you want to look at there are your site speed, your core web vitals, which is from Google. All of that plays heavily into how well optimized your website is. And then we have to optimize what's called on page, which is proper title tags, H1 tags, meta descriptions, and that schema code on the website. We've got to build that authority right. That's building links, building citations, building online reviews, getting reference on those user generated content sites, and then finally track the results. So that's the new SEO formula. It's just some little nuance and some little changes to the way we've probably all been doing this for quite some time. And so the ranking factors that we're seeing, there's technical, right? There's the technical stuff we have to do. Yeah, you've got a decent web developer, you've got a decent web team. They're thinking about the foundation of the site, indexing, broken links, 301s, structured data, hosting speed, SSL, robots.txt, sitemaps, canonicalization. That's the technical. Then you've got the on-page stuff. What's the page topical relevance, right? We're taking our lawn care terms, we're doing all of our lawn care services, and we're interlinking them. Then we're taking all of our hardscape specific stuff and we're interlinking that. And the main page gets its authority from the subpages, which are getting their authority from those citations, those other websites that point to us, and that content we're syndicating out. Then you've got your titles, H1 tags, keyword density, content length, how we're answering the questions, image optimization. That's the on page, the things that happen on the website. Then there's the off page stuff, the backlinks, the mentions, the social popularity, likes, follows, tweets, shares, citations, PR, syndication, the whole 9 yards. But at the end of the day, I do think a lot of companies have decent technical, decent on page, maybe somewhat solid off page. The real tiebreaker is going to be trust and authority. All other things being equal, if they've got the pages, they've got all that other stuff, it's going to be expertise, authority, and trust. And that's really where you win the day in today's marketplace. And so that's where you need to focus. So that's the website component. The fourth is some advanced AI strategies. We'll go a little level deeper on this stuff. So the main answer engines people are searching on right now and will continue to search on in the immediate future are, number one is Google AI overviews, right? That's people actually looking on Google but instead of looking at the overview instead of the actual results. You've got ChatGPT, Grok. I think Grok is going to catch up. They've already made some massive strides. Perplexity and Claude. So as for the data, specifically for Google AI overviews, those little snippets that come up on Google, because I think that's the number one priority, the first priority. What are the sources that it's actually referencing to show that information? Where are the Google AI overviews pulling their results from? So it's referencing Reddit, number one, believe it or not, even Google's own property, YouTube. They're prioritizing Reddit. YouTube, Quora, that's a question and answer style website, much like Reddit. I'm sure you guys have seen that one. LinkedIn. So don't sleep on Reddit, YouTube, Quora, LinkedIn. If you think about the 80-20 principle and focus on the larger portion of the pie here, you're going to have yourself in a great place to be recommended in the AI overviews. From there, looking at ChatGPT, which in my mind is the second most searched generative engine, ChatGPT heavily weighting Wikipedia, which doesn't really play too much in the lawn and landscape space. It's very hard to get information about your company on Wikipedia unless you're a very large company. Reddit list has big opportunity there. And then there's these other sites, but it's very interesting. ChatGPT is so heavily weighting Wikipedia for its results. Well, what we found specifically looking for lawn and landscape and really drilling down on our clients and the ones that come up recommended for the most important keywords and the ones that don't, the key criteria we're seeing when we ask it, why did you select this company? What do I need to do in order to come up for this result? These are the top 7 criteria. Number 1 is customer rating and reviews. So at the end of the day, if we've got more Google reviews, got more Yelp reviews, got more reviews across other platforms, we're going to have a higher probability of coming up in those results. That's the number one thing that ChatGPT says why it's recommending those companies. I think, though, we don't want to just play Google. Like for the last 10 years, it's all been, let's get the Google review. Let's drive for the Google review because we know that's where it's at and that's where the search volume happens. I think ChatGPT is also looking at other platforms now, like Thumbtack or Angie and other platforms. So don't put all of your eggs into the Google basket with that. Number 2, they're saying years in business as a ranking factor for AI. There's not really much we can do about that, right? We've been in business however many years we've been in business, but that's listed as an important factor. Service range. Are you full service, emergency? Do you have after hours, emergency availability? Are they available 24/7 or only limited hours? Local presence, focus on presence based in the actual area where you're based. Professional website. So that's the strong on page, strong off page, which is what we were just talking about a little bit ago. And then proper certifications and licenses. So these are some of the top criteria for coming up in ChatGPT. After that is Perplexity, which again, for lawn and landscape, isn't nearly as I think high on the radar as the other two. But you've got Reddit, again, YouTube, like that's it. That's the main ones. Just that same thing you're doing to build the authority for the other AI platform, AI overviews and ChatGPT. If you're thinking about the 80-20 principle, they're also paying attention to Yelp, which I think is interesting, and LinkedIn. Those are the other platforms you want to pay attention to. So specifically to those generative engines, what we want to do again is answer real questions and write like you're trying to solve somebody's problem. So answer in a variety of formats, which means we're doing video, we're doing the text, and if we can, infographics and graphics, that's really good too. Structure the headings and the bullet points so it's not just big blocks of text on your website. You can have H1s, you can have H2s, you can have tables. The better you structure the content to feed to these AI engines, the better they can consume it and really pass you the credit for it. Use first-party data and expertise so you're not just copying and pasting from what other people are doing or writing fluff content about your services. You're actually speaking from the in the trenches content and experience. Talk about why you use one type of paver over another and speak to the unique limitations or recommendations you have for your local area, like the best types of grass or plantings for your area. So get mentioned and cited. Again, that's being referenced in things like Reddit, LinkedIn, public PR websites, news sites, things like that. In a nutshell, we've got on page. So the Google Maps optimization, still massively important because for the most part, ChatGPT will tell you it's pulling from Google Maps for results that we're seeing. We just did a Google Maps deep dive training last month. Check out our YouTube channel for a replay of that. Ongoing content, we want to push new content through a syndication signal engine on a consistent basis. And we've got to be building up the expertise, authority, and trust. So we're building links, building citations, doing map embeds, and building fresh content on a consistent basis. We did put together, again, that workbook because I can only get so technical on a session like this. If you want to drill down deeper on this, you can go to wslandscapemarketing.com/SEO workbook. Again, you can get more details there. Mark or Becky, if you could pop that in the chat again for these guys, that would be awesome. It's a good checklist you guys can look at. We have a list of the most commonly searched lawn and landscape keywords here. You can grab the list with a quick screenshot here, or what I would just recommend, honestly, schedule a time with us and we can do that analysis for you guys. That way we can actually run the audit for your company, see where you're ranking now, what your best opportunities are, and then which keywords are going to drive the right kinds of leads in your area. And if you'd like some help with that, go to wslandscapemarketing.com/schedule, or you can call us at 585-497-3448, or just scan that QR code. So this is a no pressure audit. It's just a chance to look under the hood, get some clarity, walk away with a few ideas you can use right away. This is pretty much it, guys. We're going to wrap up here. It's been a pleasure sharing this with you today. If you have any questions or follow-up thoughts, let me know in the chat. I'd love to stick around and answer any of that. Otherwise, jump into that workbook or feel free to schedule a time with us. Next month, we're going to have more of a workshop style webinar to map out your internet marketing plan for 2026. Really laser focus on your goals and how to achieve them for the next year. Thanks again for your time. Really appreciate you coming. Take care. Bye now.